You do not need help with your mental health. You do not need psychiatry. You do not need medications. You need to take the purple pill. I'm here to tell you everything that you've never wanted to hear. I've noticed there's this kind of toxic kind of validation of emotional impulses that don't actually need to exist, and they don't need to guide your life. Like this kind of like it's kind of like a pathological Pavlov's dog over traumatized hyper drive that people go into. It's like falling into a vortex where they believe like, oh, I'm inherently fucked up and I constantly need help for every little thing about me. I constantly need to be assisted. And I really do not think that that's the case. Especially when you have achieved a certain sense of not only introspection, but also like higher spiritual values. So you might be wondering, questioning, oh my god, what is the purple pill, right? I thought it was just red, blue, and black. And some people say clear, but the clear pill doesn't exist. It's bullshit. But the purple pill is about transcendence, and there's not going to be a Twitter hashtag, and there's not going to be a fucking trending on X for purple pill. It's literally because the purple pill transcends movementism. There is no purple pill movement. It's really more about you as an individual, which sounds kind of contradictory of like everything I've ever said before, where I'm saying, oh yes, the idealism of the left and right politically obscures the deeper collective realities, and religion obscures, drugs obscure, pornography, prostitution obscure, um, protest movements obscure the deeper collective nature of reality. And really, what really is at the heart of that critique is that institutions, human man-made, malleable, changeable, institutional, consensual reality, aka pure fucking ideology that isn't real, obscures the true collective unification of the human consciousness. And so what taking the purple pills about as an individual is transcending this. It's really about transcendence. And so you might say, oh, but I'm happy with my, cultural war mascots and treating politics like it's a fucking sports game, and I'm happy with my illusion. But if you're an artist, if you're an artistic person, illusion is not enough. And I know all the writer's enchanting, like Nabokov said, but really that's not what Nabokov meant. The work of art, if you've read Heidegger, is not a fucking illusion. It's not an illusion. Which means that the creative process is not illusory. It's not. It's actually more fundamentally real than fucking watching TV. Your whole life. It's more real than your whole life. And so you can go ahead and go and distract yourself. But if you come to this YouTube channel, you've come to the right place. If you're the type of person who says, "I've had enough distractions. I've had enough of living in an illusionary reality. It's time to get real." So it's not a movement. It is not a politic. In fact, the first step of taking purple pill might actually be to disengage from cultural war politics entirely. Shut off the fucking news. Shut off the Twitter timeline if it's full of fucking Charlie Cook and Ben Shapiro or Hassan Piker and Bosch. Turn it off. Throw it away. Especially if it's full of fucking Fresh and Fit and Sneeko and Nick Fuentes. Throw it away. Fighting the illusory culture war will lead you ending up like Kanye West if you have a brain. If you read his latest Twitter tirades and his crashing out in public that led to his second ever divorce, married his enemy sign, you start to see that every single thing he said was like enmeshed in a culture war dichotomy. I genuinely believe that he posted pornography on Twitter to piss off right-wingers, and I genuinely believe that he posted he's a Nazi on Twitter to piss off left-wingers in a cultural dichotomy. He's too wrapped up in his audience, he's too wrapped up in having an audience and playing to the choir, playing to the crowd, playing to the gallery, which is actually exactly what David Bowie said. His advice to young artists was not to do. Do not do that. And so really, purple pill transcendence, you disengage from the red pill, blue pill dichotomy altogether, which you could check out my other video if you want my analysis of what that whole fucking closed language conflict is all about. Like, literally, the whole reason why incels exist and you can't get girlfriends is because of these ideologies, men and women cannot actually authentically connect. If you're tired of that bullshit and you really want to get real, you turn it off and you become fucking sattvic without the meditation. You become pranayamaing without the meditation. And you walk like this fucking middle path. And I do not mean being a centrist. I have to clarify this. I do not mean being a centrist. Centrism is bullshit. Everyone knows that Mao Zedong said neutrality means you're taking the enemy side. What it means is being a fucking artist and being an actual human being. So it's not about politics, but the best part of it though is you can still be political as long as it's anti-establishment in some form. So it's okay. Purple pill includes communists of all kinds that actually challenge the status quo, and it just can include apolitical people or like pure anarchists as well. You know, it's not a fucking political movement. This is not a fashion statement. It's not a fucking. It's not about being progressive or reactionary. It's actually about forming views that do not fit into that clean dichotomy whatsoever. Kind of like mine on a social scale, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, you criticize prostitution, but you believe in female domination anyway. It's like, yes, liberal pill, exactly. So if you want to be clear, like all of my opinions do not come from a pre-established hegemonic ideology or molar culture or episteme that is already planned out for me. Why is that? Because it's not creative enough. And because, like I said at the beginning, those things obscure reality and prevent you from being able to connect to it. So you might notice that the world is actually full of fucking noise. It's actually humming with bullshit all the time. And all of the messaging is negative. All of the messaging is negative. There is no fucking truth in anything they say. It's all negative. It's almost as if, the old and dying fuckheads of the world are trying to brainwash the youth into believing that nothing is ever going to change. And you're going to be trapped in the world that they built for you to suffer in forever, like a cruel god says to a human being. The truth of the matter is, that thing telling you that your desire is not possible isn't God. It's actually the devil, okay? So do not start getting negative on yourself and saying, oh, well, how could I ever possibly take the purple pill if I'm a black pilled incel? And I would say, you have too many self limiting beliefs that are actually obscuring your ability to improve. But then, to me, that would beg the question, what do you mean by improve, right? So here's where we really get into purple pill fundamentals. It is about self-development. It is about openness to reality. It is about having a certain level of autistic relation to the world. It's about how you relate to the outside world. And all of those things connect, right? All of those things are connected. So when I say self-improvement, self-development, I'm not talking about the kind of self-improvement that will allow you to get more money, more sex, or more clout. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not. If you only want to improve so that you can fuck bitches or have sex with more women or men or what have you, then you're not self-improving and it means fucking nothing. Everyone secretly knows that casual sexual relationships are meaningless. That's why people like them, because they're nihilists. They don't believe in meaning in an objective sense. Deep down, they don't. It doesn't matter what they think they say they believe in. They don't actually see what it is right in front of their eyes and 5 feet below their noses. They just cannot relate. So if you're going for casual sex self-improvement, get the fuck off of my channel. It's not about that. Because if you're still relating to the sex impulse and to eroticism, and well, there's really no eroticism there. Sexuality is really what I meant to say. And women, the woman figure, and the feminine archetypes as something to counter and something to fuck with your cock, then you're missing the point completely. You're not actually relating to it. You're not actually drawing upon its energy, channeling it, being open to all that it offers you, and being able to give expression to the realities that it has revealed and that you behold within its power. If you're just looking at women as something to fuck, then you're not actually capable of having a relationship with a woman. You don't even have to be dating a woman to have a relationship with a woman. And you certainly don't have to fuck her. Relationships, real relations, are not conscious. They're unconscious. They express themselves within the self and not in the external, quote unquote, material, physical world. All of this shit is illusionary, right? What's real is the art itself, the creative consciousness, which if you join me in the quest to self-improve and take the purple pill, you will find. It will reveal itself, and in fact, like some kind of gnawing sickness, it will not leave you alone. It will always come back. It will always resurface, no matter how long it's been, no matter where you are physically, no matter how you even think you're doing, it will always come back and say, emotionally, not as a thought pattern, but emotionally, deep within the self, pay heed to me, pay attention to me, because what is on a psychoanalytic level the phantasm, the fantasy? What is it? It is not a sentence, it is not a string of words, it is not an idea, it is not a thought. It is something that transcends and therefore sets the preconditions for the generation of thoughts and mood. Mood, if you've read Heidegger again, is more fundamental than logic. Mood is more fundamental than logic. Ask every real philosopher. That's really what the purple pill is supposed to be for. Thinking like a fucking philosopher and acting like a fucking artist in life. One of the keys to this self-improvement mindset is actually sobriety, believe it or not. But that's a different video. So you can't be wasting time numbing your own creative impulse with alcohol and drugs. They're not helping you be creative, they're only helping you cope with things that you should be forcing up to, not simply to conquer them, but to immerse yourself in them. Allow them to fill your life with meaning. That's what it's for. We are seeking an openness to reality that the thoughts of negative people attempt to constrict us from, right? We're seeking to break the chains of the individual body and negative thought patterns and thought loops in order to immerse ourselves in a more fundamental unconscious relationship to what some call God, in fact. Higher powers, higher forces. In order to reach the pinnacle of such spirit, you have to reach a state of aspiration to a higher self. You cannot stay lowly and say, oh, I'm fine coping with my depression with alcohol and drugs. You have to cut them off. You have to cut them out of your system and say, no, I will face the depression alone. I will take the harder way towards a clearer mindset. I will take the more difficult path. I will take the more difficult path there, which will make the reward sweeter. It will make it taste sweeter. When it finally resurges within, it will be at an even more powerful and rewarding level. You finally realize I didn't need the coping, so I like the word coping. We're not trying to cope with things on this channel anymore. We're trying to release them. We're trying to unleash. We're trying to become not animals, but real human beings. Not this like farcical construction of a human being that the scientists devise. Where they say, oh, everything about you is just a chemical. It's just a chemical in your brain. Oh my god. If you think you're depressed because of chemicals, you're fucked and you're never gonna make it. You're gonna die in the next 10 years. Medications are a scam also. This is not about taking real pills, it's about a spiritual alignment. It's about, like I said, self-development, openness to reality, and a willingness to engage in the creative process, an artistic lifestyle, a philosophical relation to the outside world. So what does this entail? What does this entail more specifically? Not just sobriety and self-development in that sense. We have to be like reading mystical texts. We have to be like engaging with the wisdom of the history of humanity, like Mao Zedong and Lenin said. We have to be like this is basically, honestly, I'm not trying to sneak politics in the back door, but what I'm describing as opopo is kind of just like being a real communist, like losing that life path. You're a Marxist Leninist? Um, in like a personal way. Like Muslims say, oh, my personal spiritual jihad. This is my personal communist revolution. So kick out the bureaucrats in your head who tell you, oh my god, you're not good enough yet. If you're not good enough yet, then get better. There's no, and by better, I do not mean what someone else told you is better. I do not mean conformity. I do not mean conformism. This is not about aligning yourself with some conscious string of words that someone else attached to your mind, like a toxic parasite draining out all of your vitality and will. It's actually about letting them out and being better by your own values, living by your own fucking value system. Or if you don't have one, here's mine. Authenticity is the highest thing. Be your fucking self. Don't make apologies about it either. If you're a fucking criminal, just be that. If people want to criminalize what you are, tell them to fucking kill themselves. This whole system wants to restrict you, tell you, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. Stop doing this, stop doing that. To the extent that they're actually, you ever notice thoughts are becoming more public? You just feel like you're being fucking spied on all the time. This fucking internet age. That would be a dream for a corporate elite. That would be a dream for a corporate elite. A big, massive wet dream for a neoconservative retard like Ben Shapiro. Big, massive wet dream for a surveillance state enjoyer like that. Stop listening to the mind when it's distracting you and controlling you like that. Such an extent that they want to restrict us that they're trying to tell us what we can and can't think about. Somebody tries to tell you what you can and can't think about, they should be shot in the head. I'm not kidding. Like everything that restricts the development of human consciousness and writing, by the way, the art of writing and the art life as a whole, represents the expansion of human consciousness, not its restriction. Everything that stands in its way is evil. That is the artistic ethic. That is the path you're going down if you're joining me on this journey. And so, if you want to say, like, oh, well, I don't feel good about who I am, so how could I be authentic? I think authentically you do. You actually do feel good about who you are. The idea that you don't is a poison that's been put into your head by people who are jealous of your power and your potential. I think you actually are proud of it. Be that way. Just do it. You don't have to ask anybody's fucking permission to think thoughts and to engage in your own subconscious energies. You don't have to ask anybody's help. You don't need it. You don't need my help. to be honest, you don't need permission, you do not need help, and you do not need fucking guidance from some kind of fucking pre-established religion or discourse or politics. You don't need them. Shake it all off, form your own worldview. But I think that this actually requires the third element. This actually requires the third element. And all of these things that I'm going into in this kind of rambling video to introduce this topic at hand are actually about things that I could expand upon in other videos. So, like, especially the sobriety thing. Because, you know, when I fucking quit drinking, every single night was a new idea, like creative idea. Like I talked about in the David Lynch video. Like, I wrote them all down, and it's like, this stuff's crazy. Like, I never thought of this before. And that's how you be a good artist, is you engage in that kind of thinking. That's like, this is not anything that anyone else has thought about. So these kind of stupid phrases that people throw around all the time, and I noticed this a lot. Like, I built a lot of my political theory that I studied when I was in college around, like, dispelling old notions that I found too restrictive, right? It's like too limited. It doesn't really capture the issue at hand. Like, I always felt like I was clearing brush and clarifying the issue towards like a campfire in the wilderness that you could actually find your material life in. Like, you could find safety there. But there's all this shit in the way. There's all this bullshit. Like, to be honest with you, anti-trans bullshit, that's part of the bullshit that's in the way. All the Anglo-empiricist, overly scientific fucking logic, bro, retardation, this Ben Shapiro, like, bullshit idealism, all of that is brushing away with the campfire. Like, none of it matters. It really doesn't matter. Because, you ever notice, especially with that issue, people are just talking about media projections of actual human beings. They're not talking about the people in their real lives. Completely divorced. So if you're like transgender, all you have to say is you don't know me, and then you don't even have to argue about gender. Just tell them that you know nothing of my actual life, and then just fucking put your phone away. Because, like, you don't have to argue about it. They're just talking to a fucking straw man, figment of their own imagination. It's so fucking stupid that this has become a like media projection issue. It's so stupid. On both sides it's fucked. It's literally brain cancer on an ideological level. That people argue about things like that politically. Like, that shouldn't even be a political issue. Because we are preventing ourselves from understanding what's possible by becoming fucking transphobic or something. We're preventing ourselves from understanding what's possible by becoming red-pilled, blue-pilled. You ever notice how the woman's body doesn't speak except in artistic production? It doesn't talk. It doesn't say anything. Like, they're scared to speak because they know they're going to get silenced. What that correlates to for any of you is that inner spirit, that inner drive, the thing that those ideas and fantasies, quote unquote, those goals that actually, those possibilities, I should say, that actually work in your life. They actually dictate your actual authentic existence, those unconscious forces that other people lied and told you was a delusion. So we open ourselves up to reality. That's really where I'm going with all of that. We really need to open ourselves up to reality. And reality is big. Reality includes dreams. Reality includes dreams. Because I think there's only one universe. And every single human being is a part of one being. And logic bros and fucking science fiction nerds will say, "Oh my god, that's scary. Sounds like a hive mind." Because they watch too much Warhammer videos on TikTok. That's not what it fucking means. It means that every particular being is has the potential to reveal reality to you. And you just ignore them. You literally go through your life with blinders on, ignoring what's right in front of your face. No one can tell you this what's truly inside of you is fake. No one. They're fucking blind. They're stupid. You have a purpose here. People want to become nihilists. Because with nihilism, you can writhe in the ashes of the dead father's archetype and say, I can do whatever I want, and become a libtard, blue pillar. And what does that lead to? Sexually transmitted disease, drug overdose, and a whole lot of people becoming isolated and lonely. Suicide risk is what it leads to. That's not artistic. The artiste mankind is not purple pilled. So the real problem with blue pill, red pill bullshit is that black pill exists. Purple pill would save them, but man, these fucking liberals and conservatives don't give a fuck about the lonely, depressed 35-year-old who can't find a girlfriend. They don't care about him. They really don't care about him. Why? Because they want him to conform to their culture rules first. They say, oh, become a Christian and then we'll help you. Or they say, oh, become a libtard and then we'll help you. That guy's not a Christian or a libtard. He's a nihilist. He's given up. What could save him? Art could save him. Creativity. Becoming sattvic. Every single day, there's somebody who kills themselves because nobody gave them a chance. Because they felt that that spirit within abandoned them a long time ago. Why did they feel that way? The world outside treated them that way, as if that were true, and then they allowed that to become their reality. So yeah, the people who actually beat people because they, I don't know, or like smoke pot or something, they act like they're all enlightened, or fucking evil. Because they just abandon people like that. They've abandoned the body of the woman. They've abandoned the spirit. And they've abandoned the incel. So, if you really think that you can save the world by being a conservative, you're a fucking retard, right? It's just stupid as fuck. Like, these people are jerking off to skeletons. Conservatives circle jerk each other to skeletons. These standards they try to enforce upon women will never come back. Bye. Western society said you're stupid, so go kill yourself. Like, basically, what I'm saying is it's all the wrong people killing them. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But mostly, what I am actually saying is you need to cultivate your openness to reality to escape the thought loop of negativity and Satanism that's corrupting and corroding your entire lifestyle. Like, you ever feel like your whole, like, soul is kind of trapped in a cage? Or, like, as if you have a fucking spiritual parasite attached to your being that just sucks out all your emotional energy all the time? You ever feel like every day is a monotonous routine, and it's almost as if you're living in a fucking twilight zone? Like, as soon as you wake up, you feel like that. Like, you you actually become quote unquote woke. Like, you open your third eye, and then you look around, and you like pay close attention and mindfulness to the way that other people treat you and the way that they respond to what you say, and none of it makes sense. It's all bullshit. Like, it's like literally living in a twilight zone, and like people look at you like you're from fucking Jupiter, like you can't even fucking communicate with them at all. It's like people are so reduced by capitalism and imperialism and drug addiction and the looping enslavements and negative thoughts, really, that keep the whole fucking thing floating. To say, oh, you're only good enough to be a slave. It's like, you understand, you can produce your own discourse in an artwork piece. Just write a novel. It's like a closed language on its own sometimes. But really, like, you might be wondering now at this point, I should probably change subject before I wrap up. What is that worth? Right? Like, what is this good for? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is actually the goal? And the goal is you, right? Your self improvement is actually the improvement of the entire human race. But it's actually something deeper than that. Like I said, you have to cultivate an openness to reality. So let's actually get that part out of the way first. You have to be non-judgmental. An actual good therapist will tell you the same thing. They'll say, "Oh, if you're imposing something on this, like even if you say something as simple as like, "Oh, I'm having such a shitty time here." They might say, "Oh, it sounds like you're judging things, making a judgment call." Uh, that's not how you're supposed to think if you're trying to develop yourself. You're not supposed to say, "Oh my god, oh my god. Life sucks, society sucks," because it's almost like giving it a free pass to keep sucking. You ever thought of that? That's how people treat it when they turn to alcohol and drugs. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's bullshit. Let's just ignore the mess in the next room, the fact that the house is on fire, and get drunk instead. And then what you end up doing is drinking flames and puking. Hell yeah, let's poison our bodies. It's not like the elite would want that, right? Everything you're doing in life that isn't contributing to some broader project, you need to stop doing now, today. Stop it. Quit your job, buy a gun, move to the desert, and stop drinking alcohol. Simple. Really, do not impose judgment on your experiences. Especially if you're trying to be an artist. You have to open yourself. You have to be. You might. Sometimes I try to think about something, and even my conscious mind goes like, "Oh, I hit this resistance. I hit a fucking wall." And it's like, that's a blockage inside me. It's not actually me. It's like something that was put there by something outside of myself. So what you have to do is work as hard as you possibly can to remove the blockage and have faith in the fucking process. Just have faith that the energy comes back day after day. Because every day you're not working on some bigger project is a waste of time. It doesn't matter what anyone fucking tells you. Do the big project. Engage yourself. Don't judge it. Whatever comes to mind, whatever it is, could be horrifying. But don't say, oh, that's a bad idea, before you even write it down. You have to actually pay attention to the way that silent things speak to you in your emotions. You can't say, my God, that's a bad idea, it's a bad thing to do according to someone else. It's like this, like that's why Christians are dumb. I'm sorry. I'm gonna offend people with this one. That's why Christians are stupid. Because they go to a fucking building and they say, wow, a dead guy. That must have something to do with me personally. And then they get told, oh, wow, yeah, he died for your sins. That we told you, the church, were sins in the first place. It's fucking stupid. There's not a whole lot of critical thinking going on in that community. Like, if you actually have a problem, like, come on, like, I wrote a poem once that says, let my intuition be my only moral guide. Is that fascism? No. That's living our life. It's not even individualist. I really should have taken out the my, because really it's like intuition as a whole. Like I'm saying, everyone should be that way. It's like a prescription. And your heart and soul will tell you when something is wrong. That's why you light up like a Christmas tree with anxiety and cortisol when you get fed negative messaging. Oh, something bad will happen. Oh my god. You need to fucking escape it and focus on the real. What is the real? It speaks to you within. It's not something you could go and find in a fucking bottle. And it's not something that someone else can tell you is true. The way that people think about truth is fucking stupid. Like, it's so stupid. They literally think it's either pure empiricism, like, what is an immediate fact in front of me? Which means they're being reductive, because you're not taking into account inner subjective experience as object, which it is object, because you're part of reality. You're not some fucking brain in a jar floating around cogito ergo sum like a fucking AI. You're a human being. People nowadays don't want to reconcile or reckon with humanity, even though they're human. They're supposed to. They operate as if they have no soul. Automaton lifestyle. Killing yourself solely for nothing. Just because you have kids doesn't mean you're a morally righteous individual according to the artistic ethic. Just because you have a job and you work it doesn't mean you're a good person. In fact, you're probably a shithead. You're probably a fucking asshole. What's really truly a role is having talents and abilities and divergent, convergent ways of thinking that are original, producing original thoughts, and engaging in things that other people are too scared to go to, and not producing any work out of it. That's unethical. The only thing that I regret in life in the past 6 years is not acting sooner and doing more. Somebody tells you, oh, actually doing something creative and important with your life is a bad idea. That person should be shot. Like, literally, why do we allow parasitical negativity to corrupt everything around us? Why does the world operate as if it doesn't want to be saved? It's crazy. And then you realize that's not really what the world is. The world is beautiful. It reveals itself like It's literally like divinity on a material plane expressing itself through unconscious imagination. And it's like, that inextricable connection is exactly what I'm trying to cultivate. If this was a movement, it would be a movement towards that. It's a movement of the expansion of consciousness. In order to expand consciousness, you must produce transformative artwork, whether it be poetry, novels, scripts, movies, videos, nonfiction, podcasts, paintings, drawings, sculptures, music is a big thing, anything. As long as it's transformative in the sense that it engages the soul in a process, an ordeal of expansion of human consciousness to see things in ways that most people are incapable of accepting. They don't even want to look at it. They're like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. It's like, don't shoot the messenger, bitch. This is reality here. Just because you're too much about pussy to engage with it doesn't mean I shouldn't. Because if I didn't, that would make me a fucking evil person who's cutting my own cock off. Castration. You can't. It's literally Schopenhauer reverse. You can't be fucking, oh, I have to resign myself, restrain myself, accept the fact that I'm losing. You have to change shit. You have to change it any means necessary, and it doesn't matter if any individual person disagrees with it. Doesn't matter if they feel uncomfortable with what you're doing. Doesn't matter if they're trying to stop you. Don't let them stop you. Take whatever confines and environment that they engage with you on a reasonable basis and do it anyway within those boundaries until the boundaries fall off. And then when they do it harder, do it stronger, and do it more often. They can't keep us in cages forever. Eventually the bars fucking rust. And then when the bars rust, you fucking snap them in half and escape. And you attack, and you go hard. Everything that limits you, destroy it. Everything that limits your fucking consciousness, destroy it. Do all that you can. That's what that inner force is for. It's to motivate you, impel you, drive you forth to destroy what limits in order to create the better thing that they're so fucking afraid of because they're too stupid to understand it. They're too stupid to understand it. The pessimism corrodes hope. Prevent those resurges. Yeah, that's the thing, like, I don't care whether beauty or all the other values. Or even just being authentic. This is a fucking mess. This whole video is a mess. Also, truth and beauty are the same thing. I'm gonna put this out as an unedited podcast instead of trying to cut it together. Because it's like 50 minutes long, and it's like, I don't know. But yeah, if you listen to the whole thing, you're a fucking genius. You're literally a genius. Your attention span hasn't been corrupted by the fucking TikTok timeline yet. So congratulate yourself for that. Give yourself a pat on the back for not being fucking retarded today. Um, so we have to actually care about what matters. We have to actually care about what actually matters. Not these illusionary realities I talked about at the beginning. Not these fucking stupid, dead cultural standards that won't come back no matter how much you cope. And not being an individual ego floating around, thinking you're achieving ego death because you're a stoner, or fucking a bunch of bitches and thinking that makes you a conqueror. This, like, so hypocritical, right? So hypocritical, so destructive. So destructive, so hypocritical, so restrictive to everything that I'm trying to do. It's just crazy. We live in a crazy society, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm tired of saying. Here's another thing that can keep you in a cage. This kind of individual, like, oh well, accept what you can't control, or saying, oh, you're just one person. But that doesn't really fucking hit the nail on its head of what I'm trying to describe. The eternal loneliness of the, you might say, Nietzschean or liberal Western individual. The subject as cut off from reality. If you go far enough within, you will find something without that grounds you in its energy. You will find a source, right? You will hit a vein, and you will, if you're an artist, get an idea. You will. You definitely will. Like, there's no greater cure to the distractions of the outside world than going deep within yourself and finding that thing beyond the self that makes you who you are, right? Like, I'm sick of this theory that we're just floating around atomistically without any kind of grounding. People are connected whether they like it or not. Like, it really doesn't matter what they say. Like, they could say, oh my god, I don't like it. It's the way it is anyway. So, might as well fucking accept that. To that extent, people should accept what they can't control. Because you can't logic your way out of an unconscious connection. You can't feel uncomfortable out of your way. You can't feel uncomfortable out of love. It's just not possible. It's just not something that you can do. So, hopefully people's eyes open soon. So try to cultivate today some kind of artistic appreciation. Because that's what I mean by give a shit about what actually matters. Like, care about vibing, actually, again. Sink into the vibe of something. Take a lot of alone time if you need that to get there, by the way. Don't call it self-isolation and don't call it a depression symptom. Call it solitude. You know what solitude actually is? Silence in the conscious mind. No more negative thought loops. No more paranoia. No more self-denigration. And no more lies. No more of that shit. No more lies. You lie to yourself. You think you're a fucking loser. You're never gonna make it anywhere. Or you think, oh, all the best, most creative things about me are not a good idea, then you're fucked. That's the paradox of this fucking sick world we live in. Its savior it views as its demon. And, I'm sick of people telling me I'm wrong. Like, in so many ways.
Because I might be saying things that are very symbolic that you're taking in your own way, but what it correlates for me is just as true as what you're thinking. Because I'm a real human being, like it or not. And soon, I think I'm going to keep doing this. Soon, more positivity will emerge. We'll be free enough to appreciate beauty again without without judging it and without fucking it up for ourselves by saying negative things. Negative thoughts poison real intuition. So I guess that's really one of the main messages of this whole video, actually. It's not just like, I think what I'm trying to say is taking a purple pill will free you of that. But it's really hard to maintain sometimes. It's really hard to maintain it. That's why it's so important to be so open. Maybe you're not open enough. And I'm not saying like go have a crazy physical experience. I'm saying like be open to like silence, be open to real unconscious connections, things that speak to you through your emotions. Be open to yourself. Be open to the way that you feel. Be open to the things you imagine. Be open to crazy unconscious things just in the imagination, not like you don't have to live a crazy lifestyle. Just be open to what you imagine. And be open to art. Be open to music, be open to philosophy, different ways of seeing, different ways of relating to the outside world is like you have to relate to it authentically. You have to actually cultivate connection, like real connection, not like what you think is connection, like your relationship with your boyfriend or fucking your job or some bullshit like that. Or like superficially narcissistically having a child just so you can abuse them. That's not what I mean by connection. Or like the demon that you're calling God. That's not what I mean by connection. I'm saying like you'll know it when you feel it. Like in the depths of the fire of your soul, you can feel it. It's almost like you and what you're connected to are immediately one and the same being. And it doesn't really matter what it is. It's probably definitely a different thing for you than it is for me. But you have to be that unique person. And if you know that you are, never let that go. Never cut that off. Or else you're becoming a fucking NPC. I don't care if people tell you it's evil. I don't care if people tell you it's wrong. I don't even care if it's a kid, right? If it's a child you have, and that's who you're connected to, or like your niece or something, I don't think it's coercive to like imagine them and love them in your heart and soul. I don't think that that's guilty. I think it's actually the opposite. As long as you're not a pedophile, I don't care what it is. You can get a fucking dog. But like you have to feel that fire of the soul. You have to actually feel that inspiration and you can't let it die. Cause like you talk to real human beings, they don't want your fire to die off. Like it's so easy to impress people, it shocks you when you're actually onto something. Like you're trying. Like that's the thing, really. See, if you're watching this because you're an artist, that's that part where I'll leave you off on for preparing yourself. Focus on the art itself. That connection feeds the ideas for art.
by the way. So focus on the art itself. Think like a writer if you're a writer. Think like a filmmaker if you're a filmmaker. Think like a musician if you're a musician. Like, think artistically. Appreciate art and its artistic merits. Not in an overly technical, theoretical sense, but in an intuitive, creative, emotional way. To awaken its power and its light. Allow that to change who you are as a person. Well, where are you composed of? If not that, everything else is empty. Everything else is an illusionary lie to me at this point. I don't really care about that. Like, that's what so many people I talked to in the past just never grasped about me is like, man, you guys act like you like me, but you never talk to me about the things that I actually care about at all. Like, that's crazy. Um, damn, focus on all the self. Shit, we're fucking artists, if that's what we are. Other people's judgments of it don't mean anything objectively. What they say can't change what it is. You just have to be free enough of it and embrace it and be open enough to it, to that thing. Not the thing telling you it's bullshit, but the thing itself, to feel it anyway and have the resolve to not restrict yourself from experiencing that kind of beautiful experience. So yeah, think like an artist. Do not think and feel like a philosopher. Do not think like a fucking liberal nihilist or conservative dogmatist. Kill your whole project so fast. You'll be down in the doldrums real quick, and you'll reduce yourself to a fucking sheep, telling other people not to do interesting, expensive things with their life will be your future. And then that means you basically are soulless, and when you die, you go nowhere. You have no reincarnation, you have no heaven, and you have no hell. You have nothing. You have no void. So yeah, there it is. There it is. I'll do this again some other day, but I just wanted to say, like, it might be a difficult journey, but those are the priorities that we have. Sobriety is key, openness to reality is key, non-judgmental mindset. Being a dickhead is not. Do not restrict yourself from the darkness within. And always, faith is key as well. Always have faith that your inner fire will come back to save your life once more. That's about it. I feel like I've rambled. That's okay with me. I'll see you in the next video. And, we're doing poetry readings soon on the channel. I think I want my friends to help, but I really need to turn this YouTube channel into a funnel for my Substack. Because Lord knows I just want to be a writer. I don't want to have a job. Thank you. See you again.